All right, welcome everyone to Sober Sunday. This is Sober Sunday with me, Simon Bevy. We get to have stimulating conversations about different things. Now, last week I had said to you that we were done with the parenting series. But after some consultation and questions that had been coming through, we decided to give it 2 more weeks. But this time is looking at a very interesting topic that I think Carol and I have taught many people about the impact of a mother in who we become. And I'm very excited about this because it's very informative. You want to invite your friends. Some of you need to start a watch party and invite others. I mean, the first time I read the book that we base this conversation on, I was blown away. I saw several gaps in my own life because of the way I was mothered. And we're not here to bash our mothers. We're just here to say no one is perfect. We have had discussions here on father issues. And today we're going to be talking about mother issues as well and how those affect us. So I am really excited about this conversation. I am with the guest that we were together here, Dr. Carol Chakua, who is a psychologist and works a lot with parents, life coach, coaches parents. And I'm excited for her to be here. So let me invite you just to introduce yourself a little bit better, say some of the things you do, and then we will jump into this very exciting topic.
Thank you, Pastor Simon. I think for me, it's always a pleasure to be here again. I learn a lot, and it just gives me such joy to be able to pass down what it is that's really in my heart.
Yeah.
Working with parents, and this came not because I started off working with parents directly, but it's because I worked a lot with children, and the more I worked with them, the more I realized that the real person to support, that needed support, was the parent, so that we make sure that once a child goes through a therapist's hands or a teacher's hands, they go back to an environment that is supporting what it is we are doing in therapy. And so I find that there are enough people to work with children. Of course, we need more, but at least there, when it comes in terms of percentage and proportion, there are less people who are really just working directly with parents and supporting them to understand the environment they need to create for their children to experience mental health, to experience wellness. And so that's what I've been doing specifically for the last 5 years. And I feel like I'm really learning a lot in that space. I'm really getting to understand the heart of the parent, their anxieties, their fears, their joys, the questions that they have, the struggles that they have, the different seasons parents go through. And so that's what I do. I coach. I also do therapy. I'm also an author. I have a book. I'll talk a bit about it as we go, Parenting with Your Heart in Mind, which again just invites the parents to look at their heart as they are parenting or they're having interactions with their children. So thanks for having me.
Excellent. We have joined by Sophia Mwende as well, and Buvi. I think most of you have seen Buvi before. The musician is also meant to be joining us shortly, but we are excited to be here. So just want to introduce Sophia. We are really co-hosting because we work together. She's a mother of my children, and she has also been part of a parenting program that we do for mothers, that is Intentional Moms and Mothers of Sons. And we have also taught these, what we're going to be discussing today. So we're going to be having this discussion just together and hearing about the different types of moms and how they affect us. But Sophia, you could just say hi to us as we continue.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Gosh, good morning. I want it to be morning already. I want this day to end. So good evening. It's good to see all of you. Okay, like I can't see you, but I know that you're there. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the conversation tonight. Thank you for being here.
All right. I think what else Sophie did not say that she does is that she runs a school as well. So she deals a lot with kids. She runs a school we call Almasi, and we're just excited to see children go through that and get to grow. But also we get to learn a lot about, as you teach and deal with the young people, you get insights about their parents and what's happening and what's not happening. But talking about that, Carol, you're the psychologist here. Sometimes we are blamed for looking, too keenly back to try and blame. They say that we're trying to blame our parents. But the truth is, your upbringing, affects what you think about life, who you become, the gaps that you have in your life. Is just very crucial, when you're being brought up as in those formative years. The kind of parent that you have does impact what you become. True?
Correct. Correct. And yes, we sometimes feel like it's placing blame. And you go on Facebook and there's a question, please share how your parenting has affected you today. And people share, and then as they're sharing and they're pouring out their hearts, some people are interjecting and say, let us not blame our parents, let's focus on the future, let's snap out of it and all that. So it's important for us to be clear that we're not going back there because we are blaming. We're going back there to understand. It's very important as you're looking towards the future to understand the past. That's why we have history lessons. That's why we have history. The reason we have history so that we understand where we are coming from, so that we can make better decisions about the present and the future, so that we can learn from the past. So if we are able to adjust that and look at it as a point of learning, it won't look like blame, because even when you're talking about history, you talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it's important even as we are going back. Sometimes even as psychologists, we kind of like to dig a lot and pick out what's not right. And I think now even we are getting into this space of positive psychology, where we are looking at everything in totality in terms of what's good, what can we draw, what lessons can we draw from that. But our past influences definitely affect who we are now. And it's important for us to go back and understand that, so that we are able to understand some of the root causes for the behaviors that we are seeing and the struggles that we are experiencing in the present.
Yeah. Excellent. Maybe let me ask you, Sophia, just because we like asking people this, especially mothers when they come to the Mothers of Sons program. In which ways are you like your mother, and in which ways are you different? But what is one thing let's dwell first on the way you are like your mom. Maybe two things that you find yourself just exactly like your mom.
Right. So there are many things. I'll come back to it, I promise. But I just wanted to, as Carol was talking, I was thinking about when you cut the trunk of a tree, they say that, there are these markings that are sort of embedded into the tree, and they sort of, represent the various seasons that the tree has been in. And you can tell by those who, study, I think that would be botany, I'm not sure, or whatever. They're able to tell, this mark here says that this was a very difficult year. Maybe this tree did not get enough water. Maybe there was even a forest fire that impacted this tree. So I don't think that we can really avoid looking back, so that we can also then, you can look forward. You can't pretend that what did happen in the past did not happen. And you cannot also deny the fact that it has shaped who we are. So I think we must look at history. And I say that when we're looking at history, we're not looking at history to blame. We're looking at history to make observations and to say, okay, this is what I bring to this is where I have come from. And I like to say that our parents are human. They too came into life broken, and you give what you have. If you're broken, you give brokenness. If you're whole, you give wholeness. And so when I say to you, Carol, you're wearing a denim shirt, I'm not judging you. I'm just observing the fact, for whatever purpose. So I think it's important for us to look back. Now, in what ways am I like my mother? First of all, I am a very passionate teacher, as was my mother. And I remember earlier when I was choosing my career, the one thing I said, this family of ours has enough teachers, and I am not going to add to the number of them. And here I am. I am so much a teacher, and my mom was a very passionate teacher. Now she's 89. She just turned 89 this year. And she still attempts to teach her great-grandchildren handwriting. And she's wondering, which school did you go to? How come they're not teaching you handwriting? So my mom was a very family person. And I realized that I am. She was hands-on with us as kids when we were growing up in terms of academics. And I am that. She was a great cook. Loved cooking. I love cooking. Yeah. So there are many, many ways in which I am like my mother. And of course, I get my height from her.
Well, that's good. That's good. And I think those of you have joined us in this conversation, please feel free to let us know on the chat. In which ways are you like your mom? What is it you've picked from your mom? The positive and the not positive, and the negative as well. But let's move on with the conversation. This conversation is based on a book written by two psychologists, Christian psychologists, who have written many books. That's Dr. Cloud and Dr. Townsend. They like writing books together. And I remember when I got this book and I read it, I said, everyone needs to read this book. But it's written in a very psychological, with a lot of psychological jargon. So what we tried is to break it down to a lot more palatable information that we can discuss so that a lot more people may be able to understand this. But one of the things that they point out, Dr. Carol, in the very beginning, is that when we are thinking and talking about our moms, we're talking about two issues. Number one is unresolved issues with our mom. Maybe if you had issues with mom, she hurt you, or there's something she did not do. Those are issues that you need to resolve, either forgive or reconcile, or just let it go. So there are mom issues. But then number two is what you learned from mom in terms of patterns of relationship, intimacy, separateness, being able to separate yourself and know yourself as a person. The different roles that a mother plays crucially in the life of a child, realizing or getting to know how has that affected you. But it starts with mom issues that if you were hurt by your mom, you need to deal with that. Now, Dr. Carol, it seems like when I talk a lot to people, they refer a lot to daddy issues. They have beef with their dads. They have relational issues with their dad, and they're bitter and all of that. Even today in a place where I was talking, that came out, the bitterness, the brokenness, and all of that. Have you met people with, like really heavy emotions about their moms?
Yes, I have. I have. And those are issues that I deal with every day. I mean, with pretty much every client that I have, both moms and dads. And like I like to say that most of my clients, out of 10 clients, 7 of them are moms. And maybe you'll tell us why I only have 3 dads and 7 moms.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do deal with that, and a lot of them, there's pain. What happens is, I like to put it this way, even as Pastor Sophie has said, that our parents do whatever they do with the tools they have. That's how they come into it. Nobody is born a parent, okay? So we step into this with absolutely zero knowledge, and of how to become a mom. You know, you have knowledge about many other things, relational knowledge and all that. But yes, I do have many parents who struggle with issues with their moms, and many have to do with how they were treated, the yelling, the 2-hour lectures, the words that were used that that hurt them. Clearly, from an adult perspective, a mom is able to see that the parent I'm working with is able to see that clearly my mom had issues. My mom was going through stress. Now I know that, but I wish she could have handled it differently. But what I see even more is the inability for them to separate. They make that strong convictional decision that I will never do that to my children. But when it comes to a moment of pressure themselves, they do exactly what their mom did. And sometimes, you know, someone is like, honestly, when I was talking to my child now in retrospect, I sounded exactly like my mother. And so they now coming to me with a lot of guilt, and I'm like, and they're feeling stuck. You feel like you're stuck in a cycle, you know. This is the one thing I did not want to do, and I find myself doing it. So it can be a place of also utter despair for the parent, feeling like, am I just passing this on? So how hopeless is this? As I pass it down, will my child also pass it down? Is it a generational cycle? And yes, so those situations are there.
Okay. Well, what we're going to be looking at, and that's what these 2 authors mainly do, they look at the roles of a mom, they mention it, and then now they look at when that doesn't happen well, what happens. And so to feel like we are focusing on the negative, but is really trying to see what are the negative impact of a mother who doesn't do what is expected of us, of them, especially what we need to get from us psychologically. And the first one is a detached mom. The detached mom is a mom who was not well connected or attached with the children, because mom is the first person you get to relate with. Right from the womb. I mean, you're formed in the womb, you're in a safe place, you relate, you're connected with mom, you get out of the womb, you're breastfed. They talk about the skin-to-skin contact, which is very important when a child is born for the process of attachment. And just that interaction from the very early age, that a mother is supposed to attach well with the children. And sometimes attaching, Dr. Carol, sounds very psychological. Break it down before we come to you, Sophie, just about what happens then when that attachment doesn't happen well.
What happens is that we get disorganized and confused. Because you're born with a certain expectations as human being, to expect to be nurtured, to be cared for. We are pleasure seeking animals, you know. And so you come into this world expecting pleasure, expecting care, expecting nurturing. And so when that doesn't happen, it's like the circle is not complete, it's sort of broken. Okay, so there's a piece there that is missing. And so
but even before we go to that, just what the resultant problems, in which other ways does a mom need to attach to the child? What are the activities that bring that attachment?
Okay, you talked about skin to skin, which is very important. One of the things is also to be able to be attuned to the needs of the child. okay? And by attuning is helping the child feel seen, learning to soothe the child. Okay, when the child is agitated, you soothe them, you bring them close, you pacify them, feed them when they need to be fed, taking care of their needs on demand as they come into those first few weeks and first few months of life, feeding them, changing them. So just meeting their needs on demand as they go. And then of course the skin to skin, speaking to them, giving them a sense of safety, giving them a sense of safety so that they know that they can, when they turn to mom, when they look at mom, there's that eye contact that tells the child, I'm here. So also keeping eye contact, holding them close. Of course, they say breastfeeding, but not everyone is able to do that, but making sure that when they need to be fed, they are fed. So those are some of the things that support attachment. But more important is, even as you're doing those activities, are you emotionally available? Because you can also be doing those things in a very mechanical way. And the reason we could be emotionally unavailable is because we are also going through our own issues. There could be postpartum depression there. Sometimes we don't even know that it's there. Or I'm just going through stresses and I'm unable to attach to this child. There's so much else going on around me. I'm unable to attach to this child. So more than just the physical attachment and physical meeting the needs, are you also emotionally available? Are you present there? And I hope it makes sense when I talk about being emotionally available.
That's right. So you're talking about basic safety, the child feeling safe. And here we're talking about how we were mothered. So just remember, I know some of you mothers who are joining here, you are checking yourself, am I that? But the bigger focus is even the way you were mothered yourself. Did you attach with your mom? Was there that feeling of safety, or was there violence from very young? Were there shouts and cries that made you not feel safe? Was there enough nurturing, skin to skin contact, basic trust, a sense of belonging, that you belong here, you are loved, just what you were saying, being held and being shown a lot of love. So being able to connect like that. Maybe Sophia, just to ask, what else can happen so that you don't attach well with the children as a mother?
So I think the other thing that can happen so that there is no attachment with a mother would be, I think Carol has covered it well, just neglect, not just being present with the child. And I think when you're talking about the very early years when a child is breastfeeding, maybe I'll talk about the school going age, which is really where I operate from. I see that a lot of the children, and I can tell a difference between a child whose mother is very involved with their lives, and by the way, involvement also needs to be balanced, because it can be overdone. It can actually be overdone. And when it's overdone, then it becomes smothering, where you don't allow any child individual space. And individual space really is given as I think it grows bigger as a child grows older. But there still needs to be space to give a child.
And we're going to come to one of those where it's about that smothering being too much. But here is where you don't get to attach for some reason or another.
Okay. I was going to, what I was bringing up there was that sometimes that smothering can actually lead to lack of attachment, because then a child, depending on who they are, and they may actually resist the relationship as a mother. So I mean, from the mother. So then the lack of that healthy attachment happens. So I'd say that attention is not attention, and sometimes we debate about quality time, quality time versus quantity time. And I think for children, quality time is quantity time. You just need to put in the time. So if we don't put in the time, then we even miss out on, children growing up. We find we don't know our children. Sometimes as a teacher, how this works out is that you do parents conference. You try to tell a teacher something, feedback about a parent about their child, and there's such a discord. So that I would say is a manifestation of you can tell that this child, this attachment, and the attachment that comes from, that results in you really knowing your child, then it doesn't happen. And I'd say that if you don't invest the time, then the attachment will not happen.
Okay. Thank you. So let's talk about now, all of us who are listening in. Maybe you're thinking of your mom now. You are detached. There was no good connection. Emotionally, you didn't feel connected, or you've never felt connected, or for some time you were not connected, and maybe you have worked it out. And we're going to be talking about the resultant problems. What happens when a mother is detached? Maybe she doesn't have time. Maybe she's working. I think some of the people I've met who have ended up being detached from their moms is, mom maybe got them when they were teenagers, or they were in school or college, and then they gave them over to the grandmother to take care of them or something, or they were busy on an international mission or something, and so the child at very early stage was really taken away from the mother. So lack of a time there, but also when a mother just couldn't connect from their own challenges and realities, so detached from the child. The resultant problems, and these writers talk a lot about relational problems, that when you don't connect well with mom, then it's going to be hard to connect with the rest of the world. It's because this was the first person to relate with very intimately. And now you don't connect. They're not available. You don't feel like you're close. And now you're supposed to make friends with the rest of the world. Carol.
Yes. Did you ask a question?
Yeah, just to expound a lot more, when you're detached from your mother, when your mother is detached, how does that affect your ability then to relate with the rest of the world?
Definitely, you also have issues connecting with other people. In, I think, psychology, that is called insecure attachment, where so there's secure attachment. Secure attachment is the healthy one, where the child is not feeling smothered on one hand, but is feeling secure. My mom can go, and when they go, I don't show signs of distress. When your mom is leaving and you don't show signs of distress, that means there's a secure attachment there. But insecure attachment can happen when either you smother them so much, which I know we'll talk about later, or you're unable to attach to your child and to give them that feeling of being seen, feeling of being soothed, feeling of being safe. So that's insecurely attached. And so because you don't have a template, you just don't know how that looks like when you are trying to interact with people out there. The message that the child carries in their heart as they move forward, or in their mind, is that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And there's something very fundamentally wrong with me. And therefore, two things can happen. You want to prove that you are not worthy. And so by really just not allowing yourself to get attached in relationships, as a relationship begins and it's growing, you sort of sabotage it. Okay, you sabotage it, and you come there. There's always something, and all this is unconscious, because it's already, there's a template of unworthy. So you sort of tend to push people away using many ways. Or then you prove to people that I'm worthy, and you become that people pleaser. of doing anything to get people to love you, to give you approval. We call them approval addicts, you know, or just really needing to hear that affirmation in a very needy way. So those are some of the ways that it affects you in your relationships. You can go both extremes.
Yeah. That's true. And I think, Sophia, we have met some people who have had this issue. They didn't attach well with their moms, and there's overvaluation of relationships. You know, you can see this person is in a bad relationship. They are hurting, they're being abused, but they don't want to let it go because they're overvaluing it. It's like they're looking for something they never got. So that's the other extreme. Where you're not able to quit a wrong relationship or an abusive or negative relationship, you still want to stick there because it's like, I don't want you to leave, you know, I need this, because you are never secure enough to realize that you're likable, that you will find someone else. You feel like, if I let this one go, what is going to happen to me? And that mistrust and hostility that can come up there as well. I'm sure, Sophia, you've seen this as we have talked with different people.
Yeah, for sure. I think we sort of can group the resultant problems like into three categories. That is relational, how do you relate with people? Then there is your function in relationship. How do you carry yourself within relationships? And then, of course, there is the emotional part where then maybe you don't have the skill to manage your own emotions within the context of relationship. And as Carol was talking about, you know, when a mother is detached, then what happens? I remember the little girl who came to our school, and she was very young. She was at the point she came, she was one of a twin, and she was very, very hostile and she was a tough cookie, you know. She was resistant to authority. She was aloof. She could not take instructions, and she just amazed us that even punishment or discipline did not faze her. There was just this wall, and you couldn't get through to this little girl. And you know, that girl, I remember when the mother came, she came to admit the child, you know, with the house help, and she said, you know, the nanny, and said that he told us that the nanny is a mother of that child, and that's the person we should call. So it was a big red flag, you know, a typical case of a totally detached mother. And what I could say is that with this child, she was in the category of people who then become very aggressive, very tough, cannot relate. They're just out there, and they they're like little porcupines. If you come close, they just throw you those spines. But the amazing thing is that we realize that, you know, your regular discipline book would not work with this child. But the moment you showed her any form of tenderness, that child's walls just began to crumble. And that was quite a thing. And unfortunately, they moved on. They didn't stay too long in our school. But I think that was a typical resultant problem of a child then who had been totally detached from the mother. The mother was not there, and she was not even hiding it. She was like, I'm out there, I'm looking for money. Please don't call me. I remember one time when we called her because the child was injured, she was very angry. Why are we disturbing her peace? She's making a lot of money. So that was a typical case of a child where really attachment had not happened.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Mbuvi, for coming. Good to see you, man.
Sorry, thoroughly late. Hata sauti ndio imepotea kidogo.
You must be coming from a gig or something. So
I was in a gig.
Yeah. Yes. I can see the way you are dressed. You must have brought the house down. But
A few
Yeah.
vanities here and there, coffee with movie.
I see that, bro. I see that, bro. And I've had that coffee with you. But welcome.
Wow.
Good to have you here. The conversation is going on. We're talking about the different kinds of moms that we have. And how that affects us into adulthood, because we see a lot of these effects or negative impact most of the time. Of course, positive is there, especially later in life when people are relating. So tell us, what kind of a mother do you have? You know, sometimes we jokingly say, who is your mom? Then we will understand you. And it has a lot of value, just like with us, who is your dad? So tell us, who is your mom? What kind of mom have you had?
Tough, very tough. I had a very, very tough mother. She was really, really tough. Alikuwa ananichapa na mti ya kifagio na hizo vijiti za kifagio zinaingia kwa miguu. I think firstborn are either spoiled. I'm a firstborn. Firstborn are either super spoiled or super punished. But as you grow older, you realize it's all in love. And then as you grow and you come into being, you realize maybe at a year of a punishment, which it's too much. I wouldn't do that now, but you realize it actually shaped something. When I know myself and when I know my personality, I know what world I would have been in if I wasn't born again. So I'm grateful for that foundation. She was tough, strict, and always there though. Always there. When I got into high school, I think is probably when my siblings came. Now you could see that she'd first was on a mambo. Now she's realized that was a bit too much, so she chill out on that. And when I was in high school, I was now proper spoiled. Everyone thought I was a last born, but I was a first born. So it's like her way of being, Polly, I think I overdid it for you. Do you actually? Yeah. Papa nilimwimbia wimbo bana. When he went to heaven, I heard. It was a very serious pillar.
Yeah.
But I think if he was alive, I think I wouldn't be in ministry and in music. I think I'd be working somewhere.
I hear you. And in terms of detachment, were you very connected? Were you close? Is she someone you would hug and talk with and tell your issues? Would you say, to what level were you attached? Were you connected with her?
Well, when it came to those, no, she wasn't, not like the way guys are nowadays. She wasn't, she was close to a certain degree. There are things we wouldn't discuss. In fact, when I got into teenage, she just bought me a book called, she tried from where she was. She got me a book called Everything a Teenage Boy Should Know. She got me the book, told me read this book. If you have any questions, ask your father. So you can see she did the best she could in as far as attachment was concerned. But I guess also now she grew in shags. So easy mambo ya hug, affection, pia sidhani alikuwa amezoea. But eventually you could see now the other siblings that was there. It was evidently there. So she morphed with time. She morphed with time. When I discovered how much they were beaten, they themselves in their days, then you actually realize hakuwa na ubaya. That's how she learned children raised. Kiboko. I know the Bible spare the rod, spoil the child, but how are they? It's not about sparing. It's chapa kiboko ikuena. But they meant well. Later you come to realize they actually meant well. And they were beaten even worse. After they were thinking they were lenient with you. So So that's the closeness was I couldn't discuss just write anything, but she tried because even every institution, even marriage has its own ups and downs. She tried and pass and talk with me. So in a way, know what the situation is at home. But I guess also parents have this, as they talk, that it's like they're opening your mind to life is not just as simple as it looks. There's a reality. There's we cheating us with these soap operas, and there's real life. So you also see it from that. If you're a thinking person, you'll see it from that perspective.
Yes. Well, thank you. So thank you all of you that are making some comments about your moms. So we're talking about the detached mom and how that affects us. And Sophia began just to summarize, there are relational problems. We find either we are aloof, withdrawn, or very shallow in relationships, or we find that we are overvaluing relationships and really clinging on to them as if you don't want people to go. And I think I noticed a bit of that myself as I grew up. At some point, it's almost like I don't want to let you go. And part of it is my mom, eventually we got very well attached and connected. But at first, because I'm number 8 out of 10, by the time you're number 8, you're really brought up by your siblings, not by your mom. You see her from a distance. You don't have very much airtime with her. It's my sisters who became like my parents. So in a sense, I missed something there. I think the first hug I really remember from my mother was when I was getting my law degree. That's when I remember she hugged me, and it really felt good. Before then, if she hugged me, I don't remember, but I think we were too many trying to get the attention of the same mom. So I think I lost something there in terms of attachment, and it affected my ability to connect with other people to a certain degree. I would either connect very quickly and then get very close, or take very long to ever get to connect. I got to realize that gap. But Dr. Carol, there are also the functional problems that these doctors talk about, like avoiding risk. That you don't want to, because you don't feel secure, then you avoid to take risks. You're unable to take criticism. You feel like someone, so you become brittle in a sense, because you didn't connect well and get what you needed that would make you secure. Then it's like when you're criticized, you feel like someone is putting a knife into your heart. And then also they say you struggle a lot with guilt. It's harder to forgive yourself or forgive other people. And maybe that you are estranged from your talents, that you don't thrive as well. When you have not been loved, that basic love of a mother is so crucial to making you thrive. And when you don't get it, it's like you wilt. Any comments, Dr. Carol?
Absolutely. And I think that just not being able to take risks is because it's because you tried to take risks when you were young. One of the way you take risks is by asking for help. I mean, crying out if you have if you feel hurt. Okay, so if you get hurt or if you're frustrated, you cry. And because your parent is detached, the reason they are detached is also because they were not attached. Okay, so they don't understand these big, strong emotions. So when you naturally just express your anger or frustration, or you need soothing, you need to be soothed, but you don't get that soothing. So you begin to think, trying and pushing myself out there and getting out there always comes, I don't get what, my needs are not met when I express them. When I express that my needs be met, they are not met. And therefore, that means let me hold back. Let me not cry out. Let me not express my frustrations. You come home, maybe you are bullied and you're trying to talk about it, and then you're dismissed. Because you're dismissed and you're told that's life. You also need to toughen up, for example. And so then you realize, I really just wanted to talk about how I was feeling, but I feel like I'm being shut down. And so that then translates, you think you're toughening your child by telling them, you go and toughen yourself out there and stop being a crybaby. But really what they need is for you to just provide space for them to vent and to talk about it, even without providing solutions. So the message there is that my needs are not important. Being natural, doing something naturally, expressing my natural feelings is not okay. And we do not realize how much that affects our children trying to attempt new things. Because now I can't take risks. I can't go out there. I can't express myself. I can't be myself. So that definitely does that. And that's why being able to soothe, I don't know if we are already back to solutions or we are still talking about how that plays out.
No,
But yeah.
we can mix it all up. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So that's why being able to, I like one neuroscientist, psychiatrist, neuroscientist who talks about attachment in 4 S's, and that is helping a child to be seen. Like, can you really see me for my uniqueness? Do you really see what's going on inside of me? Or are you just seeing me for the things you want from me, to perform well, to be well behaved, to be well mannered? Do you really see me beyond what it is you're seeing? So being seen, and then helping a child to feel safe. That's safe now, that's security, that I know when I'm feeling safe. When my mom is around, there's safety. There's just that feeling of safety that comes with it. I just remember sometimes my mom would travel and she would come back at night, and there was just a sense of insecurity for as long as she was not in the house, especially in the evening. And it wasn't because she would come and beat the thugs if something happened, but it's just that I felt a sense of emotional security when she was around, and that speaks to just how safe she made me feel when she was around. So that seen, safe, soothed is where, when I cry, do you soothe me? Do you provide a space for me to cry? Whether I'm a boy or a girl, it's okay for me to cry. It's okay for me to express my frustration and my anger. So it's your job as a parent to direct that in a way that is respectful. But our children are not born knowing how to express their frustration and their anger in a respectful way. So we start from that. We start from seeing them throw tantrums in ways that are not respectful. Do we shut that down, or do we provide a space, what we call containment skills, a safe space for them to just pour their frustrations, their big feelings, so that we are able to walk them through that process so that they feel soothed. And you can do it differently for different ages. You know, for a little child, the 6-month-old is just by holding them and letting them, you know, calm down. And for the 4-year-old is just to help them name what the feelings are. And even just give them that emotional vocabulary. Are you feeling frustrated that you cannot open that toy? It's very frustrating, you know, and they just connect with that, just being able to help them name that feeling. And for a teenager, it's just to let them know, you know what, I know this is frustrating. The way you're acting, it's coming from a place of frustrations. Do you want to tell me more about it? Just being able to validate that is being seen, to soothe. And then when a child feels safe, seen and soothed, then they become secure. Okay, so they feel that sense of security.
Excellent. I like those 4 S's, and I think as we're learning them, sometimes when you don't get those 4 things, we begin to look for them in relationships. You know, I've met some men who, when they find that soothing in a woman, and they fall for them, you know, they're ready to say, take me home, movie, because you longed for that and you never got it. And you just find that that becomes a weakness because you're longing for it. Or any woman who makes you feel secure. Once I was talking to a man who was always, you know, dating older women, way older women. And when I asked, when we talked, you know, I asked about, tell me about your mother. And actually he began to say how the mother was never really there. There was no attachment. She was busy. They never really got together. I think he became closer to the dad and also to the house help. And it's like he had always been longing for that kind of connection with the mother. And so whenever he found a woman who was older and ready to connect, he would just fall for that person. And then later you say, oh no, what is this I did? And you would withdraw and then get into another one. These things affect us, movie, right?
Yes, they do.
Let me ask you, and then I come to Sophie, because I wanted to touch on several things about the emotional challenges that we face. But Bhuvi, I talked about my level of detachment with my mother. She's now a great mom. Now we are close. We got close after college. Now everyone had moved out, so we had a chance now to relate closer to her, those of us who are younger. or later online.
Yeah.
But then it's just that she was busy with other things. We didn't connect, and that affected me in certain ways. And there are some things you see in Dr. Mbuvi that has affected the way you relate with people because of the way your mom was harsh, and maybe you were never as close. Some of those S's like soothing may not have been there.
Yes, this was one there, definitely. What probably worked for me is number one, my walk with God really did help me. You find solace in hiding in God. But at times, you're physical, you're still flesh. God is spirit and he works in your soul, but even your mind and emotions, at times you need people around you. And now the problem with some of us who are both super extroverted and also introverted, you're able to hide within those giftings of yours. So you're in a place and you look like the most confident person ever. Yet you're really one of the you actually deep down within you're actually really really shy, and especially when it came to the opposite sex, it was difficult. In fact, there's a time I really liked Dr. Yapo. We were in the same college, and but you're not able to express. I even went to Kakamega, but I was not even able to express. You don't have that. And you look like the boldest, the person who has, and you actually have all this. Actually, a lot of my almost all my relationships have, it's the lady who approaches. It's the weirdest thing, because I'm not confident enough to do that. And like you said, after college, you were able to link up with your mom and relate. I think I probably didn't quite get that chance properly, because by the time I was finishing college, she was, which I didn't know, she was struggling with cancer, breast cancer, and within 2 years, she was already gone. So that element never quite developed. Of course, I got confidence now. God had this idea, but you can see those things. I was actually limping in those things. So that kind of missed out.
I hear you.
Solace in my giftings, in the kelele, in the jokes you're cracking. At times when you're cracking jokes and you're the noisiest person in the room, you're just trying to break ice and not show your other side that is diminutive.
Yeah, I think that's part of what we were saying, shallowness of relationships. That sometimes you make noise, you look like you're the life of the party, but really you're avoiding to connect. You don't know how to connect. You just want to keep it happy and all of that. And that affects us a lot. I think this is such a truth, Dr. Caro and Sophie. I think this is such a truth. When I read it at first, I just thought, every time someone comes to the counseling room and they tell me how they're struggling with patterns of relationships and with intimacy, the first question I ask them is, tell me about your mother. And 90% of the times, it's going to be relating to a detached, it's going to have relationship with a detached mother, someone they didn't connect. This is just so crucial. I think for the mothers who are listening out there, attaching to your child from a very young age and making time to make sure you do those 4 S's is so crucial that it could affect their entire lives instead of in terms of patterns of relationships. But because of time, let's move on a bit, Sophie, and they talk about emotional challenges that we get to face when we don't attach with mom. It could be depression, just perpetual feeling of loneliness, but there are a few others. You could mention them as well.
Okay. I want to say that also one of the functional issues is like with the story I gave about the little girl who came to our school once. She actually then developed, she was a very, very slow learner. She couldn't engage at her level with even the simple things that had to do academics. It was very difficult for her to transition from home to school, and she never played, with other kids. She was just happy to be on her own. And I would imagine then that just the issues that come as a result of a breakdown depression as an adult, where you're not able to debrief your things because who are you debriefing them with? And so I imagine then that you carry your issues. You're not, naturally when a mother is present in the ways that Dr. Carol has explained, then you provide a space where children can come and debrief their experiences of life. So and so, today at the field, I got hurt. So and so bullied me. This one did what? So I think when you learn early in life that there is no place for such things, then I guess you carry things, and one day you implode, and then we have all of these things that we now begin to treat as mental health issues, and just that feeling of emptiness. I think maybe in a bid to fill in that gap, I think it would be easier for you then to get into things like addictions and just all of those things. When you're depressed, I hear people say, I feel hopeless, I feel like life has no meaning. And like Mbuvi says, you can be very successful. I know women. I was recently being told about a lady who corner office, big house, amazing investment. But one day she just said, I feel like my life is meaningless. And I guess it's one of those things. And of course, unfortunately, I did not have the opportunity to just dig in and find out what happens. But I guess what a mother does when they're detached, they help to moderate, emotions. To say, oh, you're just sad, but you over it, and you then show the truth and bring closure. So I guess when you're not, attached as a mother to your child, then your child has nowhere to learn about social connections of the world. How do I not get to a place where my emotions are just overwhelming me? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
Is someone hanging? Is it?
Yeah, I think you were breaking a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was just me. I was wondering, kwani niko gani huku
Yeah, her network was having a bit of challenge there, but I think you have expressed it, the emptiness, the feeling like you can't connect, maybe some depression there sometimes. And the hopelessness is when you feel like relationships and love have a way of making you feel there's hope, especially with your mother, in those early years. You feel like mom is here, there's hope for tomorrow. What can happen tomorrow? Mom is here because you're connected. But when you're not connected, then you begin to have challenges of hopelessness. Spiritually, another thing that happens, I don't know how you experience that movie. In Psalm 22, the psalmist said, I learned how to trust you from my mother's breast. In other words, at the comfort and security of the love of my mother and the nurture that she gave me, then I learned there's a God I can trust. I learned how to trust, in other words. So it means like trust could be messed up when we are not very close with our mothers, being able to trust other people. Have you had any challenge with that, Dr. Mbuvi?
No, I haven't. The amazing thing is, I don't know, for some reason, from the earliest, I've always had this love for knowing God. And I got born again at a very, very young age. My parents weren't born again. I was the only one going to church. I was the only one going to Sunday school. And I end up, the first few, just to fast track, the first few years of my life nearly grow Shago. So when you grow in Shago, you're mature. By the time you're 5, 6, you're open, your mind is. So I would go to church alone. And it was where we used to live in Umoja. I would go to church we were in Salvation Army. I was born in the Salvation Army. And we'd go, there was one is it in Shauri Moyo? And then there's one in town. So I would go. So my foundation with God began. It's like it began with me and God. It wasn't at necessarily the only introduction parents, which is good, is allow me to go to church. But nilianza na God, I was the firstborn. Eventually, now my siblings, of course, they followed me. They got born again. Then my folks after that. So my salvation life was not a determinant based on my parents. It's like God fished me early enough. So hiyo iliokolea. Otherwise, if it was direct, then I think I'd reach a point and be like, huyu Mungu wenyu naamini, you're not even there for me. What happened? So luckily, or somehow God got to me.
And God does that a lot. Sometimes he just breaks all of these things. And that's a prayer that we have for everyone. Thanks for many of you have written some things about your moms. Rodalie has written, Modoni, your mom was humorous, had a deep passion for family, disciplinarian, hardworking, leading, guiding younger women. Mwihaki says hands-on academics and cooking and knitting as well, was a teacher too. And I thank God for her. There's someone that asked a question here. Where is the line between smothering and how does one balance attachment and smothering? And I know we're going to be talking more about that. That's Montayo Lanoi has asked that. But thanks to all of you who are listening. I want you to just know that we have just begun. There's so much depth in this conversation. In fact, we thought we would do 2 types of moms, but we have done only one. But we want to come towards a close with this one. And so we have said, when you grow up with a mom who wasn't connected with you and wasn't attached well with you, was detached, then you may find yourself struggling with relational problems, functional problems like avoiding risk and guilt and unable to take criticism, not thriving well. Sometimes spiritually, you may find yourself just having difficulty trusting God. And emotionally, we have talked about that. And they talk about this, Dr. Carol, as we come to you. For this last segment, they say that the kind of relationship you find you're having with mom later in life is, please love me. It's like you're longing for love and you're wishing that they could come out and just love you because you feel the frustration of not connecting. It can be very frustrating. But then secondly, you could feel like there's no family. You don't belong to a family. There's always that sense of feeling we are a family. We love each other. We're tight here. But you find some people who don't feel that family feeling. And mom is a great foundation to that. And then lastly, is where you find yourself, you're having this relationship. I hate you and I want you. I hate you, but don't leave me. It's like you hate your mom because you feel like there's no connection, but you don't want them to go because you're longing for that connection. And it can be a very, difficult relationship, right? And of course, now you need to rebuild that relationship. So, Dr. Carr, you can tell us, if I grew up with a detached mom and we never connected very well, what are some of the ways that I can begin to sort out of this relationship?
Yes, and I think, first of all, to acknowledge that it's a long process and that we cannot fix it immediately. That's just one, to be sure that we know that and we are prepared for the long haul. Number 2, to acknowledge it. And acknowledging doesn't mean my mom was such a bad person and that's why I'm this way. And, we're not hating on them. We are acknowledging that whatever happened, and there's a brokenness that need healing. And then number 3 is to really now begin the process of what psychologists call reparenting or remothering yourself. And that is just learning how to connect with yourself first. The reason we experience detachment is because detachment from our parents is because our parents were detached from themselves as well. There was a sense of not feeling worthy. And so how do you begin that process? Of course, once you acknowledge, then you just begin to really, whether it's through therapy, you journal, you allow the memories to come, you connect with the spaces that were painful and acknowledge them for what they were, just really being able to connect with the actual reality of what happened happen is very important. We try to avoid that, especially because, we say, yaliyopita, let's not go back there. Why go back? In fact, that's one of the things we ask, why are we going back there? It happened, and now I have a good relationship with my mom. Okay, but you see, the reason you have a good relationship with your mom is because of many reasons. You see, even with Victor, because I call him Victor, Dr. Mbuvi, he talks about how strict his mom was, but then there was also that connection. So we sometimes just choose the good parts, but it's important to be able to talk about both the good and the bad, so that we see the totality. We don't compartmentalize these experiences. So going forward, then we are able to connect. The reason we are connecting better when we are older is because we also understand more. We are also much more mature in our relationships. But please, just because we are experiencing that positiveness, let's not also forget the parts that have caused us the struggles that we are going through now. So acknowledging both and being able to remother, to give yourself what you did not give. And that's the thing. Many times we are afraid of going there because we are like, it's broken anyway. Why go there? But there is such value in going back there and allowing healing to happen, because healing is possible. Healing is possible by being kinder to yourself, by being more compassionate to yourself, by releasing and forgiving. And forgiving doesn't mean you are excusing. But forgiving just means that I am allowing now the effects of what they did not to no longer be there in my life, so that's the process of remothering. Sometimes reparenting happens in healthy relationships. You are lucky enough to have healthier relationships with maybe teachers, with even a partner, a spouse who treats you well and provides that environment. You even in a later adult relationship, when you feel seen, soothed, and what is the other one? Safe, then you begin to become more secure. So also allowing ourselves relationships and communities where we feel that is also part of the healing process.
That's right. And I know if you're a lady and you have your girlfriends around, then they can begin to fill in some of those gaps, the things that you wanted from your mother. And Buvi, you need to hang out a bit more with me, because we can then begin to experience a sort of detachment when you relate closer with your friends. And there's a way that it begins to heal some of those or fill up some of those gaps. I like what you said, Dr. Carol, because it's linking fruit to the roots. Because once you understand, I don't connect well because of the foundation I had, then you know how to solve it. It's like what Socrates said, know thyself. If you don't know yourself, if you're not self-aware, then you can't fix it. And you'll be wondering, why is it I can't connect with girlfriends, boyfriends, or people, but you don't know what's the problem. And when you know it, now you can begin to fix it. You can catch yourself when you're drifting that way, and you can also reach out to God to be able to help you. Before we come to you, Dr. Mbuvi, and you should see how much people are engaged in this. I think we needed 2 hours, but Sophia, just tell us, to the degree that you are detached from your mom, or your mom was detached from you, to what degree that you are detached from your mom did you find yourself struggling to attach with your children?
I think, like I said, mothers teach us patterns of relationship. And like you, I was child number 7 out of 9, and then phase 2. That's a bit complicated. Where you have your first phase of kids, and then there's a long break, and then now you happen, and then your child number 7. So I like to say I'm the phase 2. I'm the phase 2 children. So and then my mom had a full-time career as a teacher, like I said. She loved farming, so she was a full-time farmer. I don't know how she did that. And then she had 16 of us 12, sorry. 9 of us within 16 years. So on average, yeah, that was a lot of children. And her hands were really full. And so really like you, Simon, I was actually remote parented. I was parented through my older siblings and never really then got, and you see, a sibling can do the best to be a good sibling, but they cannot replace a parent. So I didn't know how to grow up with my children, to connect with my children. I remember one of my biggest anxieties when I got pregnant was wondering if I would be capable of loving my children. I would actually be anxious. So I got the first one, and then I was like, wow, yeah, I love this child. And then I got pregnant the second time, and I was wondering, now will I be able to share this love with these kids? Is there enough to cover all the three? And believe you me, even with my third pregnancy, I wondered whether there'd be enough to fit, the three. So, that being constantly in a place of, anxiety. And then, of course, now I know better that, every child comes with their own package of emotional attachment. But I also began, I think for me, so like I say, I have had to be very, very intentional about connecting with my own children, and really with no reference point. I read, I observe sometimes you can be remothered through other models, healthy models that God brings your way. But above all, I remember when I was pregnant, I really, really, took time to pray over my children, over our future relationship. And in many ways, I can say that really God has helped me to overcome that challenge of being connected with my children. I think in terms of relationships, I'm still a very, I do few friendships, and then we go deep with those ones. I'm still not able to do the umati, the very many connections. And then also my relational bandwidth, I have like 2 GB. I really have to, because relationships are a huge. I'm not saying that it can happen. And somehow what God has given me to do then requires that I deal with people. But I get very drained by relationships. It's only that I know it's what God would have me do, be in relationship, that then I become intentional with connecting. So I think what I want to say is that there is hope. And when you, like I say, when you understand even that your mother didn't willfully fail to connect with you, then first of all, there's healing. And secondly, there is then the desire to say, okay, that is who she was. That is what the best that she had that she could give me. And I say, now I am the parent on duty. And I agree with what Dr. Carol said before, that when you become an adult, part of adulting is taking responsibility for who you are. And you can't keep blaming what happened or did not happen. You just seek truth, seek facts, and then take responsibility and be the kind of mother that you need to be, or even just person that you need to be.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but Mbuvi, we must finish with you. Then the authors here talk about dealing with the defenses we put up when we never connected with mom. And you said your mom passed on before you could reconnect. So I'm sure you're probably had to face some of those defenses that you put up to protect yourself, like either devaluation of relationships. In other words, you feel like you really like someone, but you devalue it and you don't, you say, it's not a big thing. Or you overvalue it, you become too intense about it, and it's almost like your life, like I'm going to die if this person goes. Another one is feeling omnipotent. It's like, I got this, just leave me alone. I can can do this. I don't need help. And the other one is avoidance of depth. You just don't want depth. When it begins to happen, you sabotage it, as we were told. Do you feel like you've been able to deal with some of those defenses? You're at a better place with God's help.
What was the last one that you said?
Avoidance of depth, that you just want to you don't want to get deep with people.
I can't remember all those. I have a touch of a lot of those things. I have a huge touch of a whole lot of those things. I don't know whether there's a place I don't know whether I'm too over careful. There's a place I don't know whether I feel like I'm cool, I can have this on my own. I'm in all those places. But the beauty of I think the beauty of being in God is because He carries you step by step, and then you don't sleep on your laurels. You study other minds, you study other people, and the revelation God has given them in terms of relationships, be it parental relationships, love relationships, eros, agape. You study and you relate with them, so that helps. Having people who've gone and tried to understand a wholesome bit, filling those blanks with what is out there, what you can learn. Because at the end of the day, the information will have. Experience is the best teacher, but then have to be your own experience, because you don't have it anyway. So you try and grab as much as you can. So I oscillate around all those things. I look super public, but I'm very super private. I am super. You would not know, because I'll make so much noise. And empty debates make most noise. So anyone who has a match, that's why I hide. My wall, and I dare to say, my wall is noise. My wall is joke. My wall is my music. My wall is all that. So that protects me. I don't let very many people very close. But you won't know you're close, because ile hype sisi ni wale watu tunachocha. Yes, God leads, God guides you, and each cycle of He fulfills you, and you know very well, as long as you're working with God, any person that is needed in your life, God loves you. As long as you have an open heart, He will break that barrier you're putting and bring those people in your life. There are things I rarely share about this. In fact, I don't think I've shared this in a long time. But you see, this happens, and you have an open heart, and you see, hey, okay, this is a place I can share this. And when you share it, like you're saying, you can share it, get a solution. You can share it, not get a solution, but somebody else going through this field. Hey, I'm not alone. So this is not bad. I'm not evil or something. So I can walk with God, and it helped me conquer some of these things. So I don't know that I've answered, but that's the sea I'm swimming in.
No, I hear you. And we cannot even finish this, Dr. Carol Sophia Mbuvi. We'll have to continue it next week. We have only tackled one, which is the most foundational one. I think if there's one gift mothers give the world, is attachment. The ability to connect with our mothers in a way that sets a foundation for the rest of life's relationships. And no wonder God says, in the Bible, that He comforts us just like a mother gets to comfort the child. The soothing that we were talking about. This is Isaiah chapter 66, verse 13. And Isaiah 49:15 says, can a mother forget her nursing child? And He says, you're always right in front of my eyes. I can never forget you. In other words, He's saying, you're here, you belong, your family. You're here. And what we never got from our mothers, there's a God in heaven who fixes that. So just to say to all of us, we have a God who is greater than our moms and who is able to fill in those gaps. So we release those hurts. We invite Him into those gaps, and He is going to be able to heal us, bring down the defenses, and help us to relate well with people, in spite of what our relationship was. But we have gotten some hints about how to rebuild the relationship. We'll start there next week, and then we will go to the next one. Next one is going to be about fragile mothers. There are those mothers that you don't want to say something to them because they may just explode, or maybe this may hurt them too hard. And other kinds of mothers, 6 types that we're going to talk about. I'm sure you're going to see a little bit of your mom there. And this is not to beat them, it's for you. It's not about your mom now, it's for you. That you may become what you're supposed to be and not allow what you went through with your mom affect you. Dr. Carol, I know you can pray for 1 minute. Can you just bless all those who feel overwhelmed and those mothers who are very afraid that they're going to be detached mothers to their own children? Just pray for us as we close.
Okay. And I think I just want us to lead us to a moment of reflection. It's still going to be a minute to just, because we've listened to this and we are feeling, maybe you could be feeling guilty, you could be feeling a sense of hopelessness. And for what I ask is that you just be able to connect with the feeling, the negative feeling that you're having right now as a result of listening to this. So is it hopelessness? Is it guilt? Is it inspiration? But let's look more at the negative, because what I would like you to do is to just release that and allow God to take it. Allow God to take away the fear, the guilt, the helplessness, the inadequacy that you're feeling. And what do you want to receive from God today? Lord, I pray that for everyone who is listening, will be able to receive peace in place of turmoil. We'll be able to receive hope in place of hopelessness. We'll be able to receive strength and courage in place of fear and anxiety. We receive all this because it comes from you, who is the source of life and the source of healing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you very much. Dr. Carol has written a book. Please visit her page. The details are there. A book that will be very helpful. We have some programs happening at Transform Nations, but we will talk more about this next week. You don't want to miss next week as we go through these different types of months. They're going to liberate you. Thank you very much and have a good night. Thank you for being part of this.
Thank you.
Blessings.